Hey guys, it's Rosa here. I hope you're all having a really lovely day. I'm here today to share with you what I've been sewing, and I'm very excited. I've got 4 things to show you, and I made these through April and May. I actually worked on 5 things in April and May, but one of them, the zip just completely blew, so I can't wear it at the moment. So it's back in the sewing room on the to fix pile. So as soon as I've done that, I'll probably be able to show you it in my next video. Maybe I'll wear it when I'm filming my next video so you can see that one, which is a shame, but I have made 4 things and I'm actually super pleased with all of them. So very excited to share them with you. Shall we get started? So the first thing I'll be talking about today is what I'm wearing. And this is my Lee Bloomsbury blouse, which I made from recycled materials. So I'm pretty pleased about that one. Not entirely recycled, I should say. Disclaimer there. But the main part of the blouse, the sort of focal point, is this bib area, which I absolutely love. And I used an old apron, which is embroidered. So if I come a bit closer, I've got a new filming setup, so apologies if something's not overly clear. So this is the bib area. This is the beautiful embroidery which I cut off the bottom of an old apron, and I decided to use it because I love the shape. I love how it's sort of sprayed out. I thought because it's in that similar curved shape to the bib on the Bloomsbury blouse, it would work quite well. And it has, of course, this lovely ruffle which runs all the way around the front. And then if I do a little turn for you, you can see the ruffle extends all the way around the back as well. And the closure for this is it has this very pretty button back, which I just think is lovely. I'm wearing it tucked into my trusty denim mini skirt, which is a new look pattern. But if I pull it out, it might be better for you guys just to see how the blouse actually sits. It's a bit wrinkly because I've been wearing it tucked in, sorry. This fabric is just pure 100% cotton, which I bought from Fabricland. So I'm actually really pleased with the colour match. So a tip if you are looking to work with some vintage tablecloths or aprons or whatever, any kind of vintage embroidered fabric, is to take it with you when you go to get the fabric for the rest of the garment, because it's unlikely you're going to be able to make the whole thing from the apron or tablecloth, because you know they're not actually that big, generally speaking. So take it with you and you can try and get the best sort of colour and texture match. This actual embroidered fabric is linen, but when I looked at the linens in Fabricland, they just weren't right. They hadn't got a white one that was really nice, nice enough to use it just didn't really work, basically. To cut a long story short, the linen was very stiff and very structural, and I just thought this frill in a fabric like that would just be a bit bananas. So I decided not to. The details I included were this very pretty gathered sleeve, which I just think is so pretty and delicate. It's actually one of my favourite parts of the blouse. And Nina's instructions are exceptionally good, so I would give it definitely 2 thumbs up. It's definitely not a beginner project, but I would say if you're like an advanced beginner to intermediate sewer, this is the perfect project. It's so relaxing. It's not quick at all. So disclaimer, it's not quick, and if you don't enjoy gathering, don't attempt this pattern. But if you do enjoy gathering, or if you just want a really lovely, satisfying sew, I'd highly recommend this project, because it's really like meditative, like, you know, when you're like pinning all these individual gathers and like adjusting it. It's a really lovely and enjoyable project to work on. So yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled with how it's turned out. So I would definitely recommend this. Really clear instructions. All the pieces fit together perfectly. I made the UK size 10, which is my usual size in sewing patterns. And the fit, as you can see, has ease, but it's not big and baggy and unflattering. It's just the perfect summer blouse, I would argue. And yeah, I really love these sleeves as well. They're kind of just above, they're sort of bracelet length, I think I would describe them as. And the other change which I made was omitting the collar. It actually has a little stand-up collar, which I'm very fond of, a stand-up collar, and it has a little frill option, which is adorable. But I just thought, because it's getting to be actually quite warm here in London at the moment, I didn't want to be just melting in my Bloomsbury blouse. So I made a decision to just not cut it off, I didn't even cut it out, just leave that off, and instead I finished the neckline with just a bias binding trim, which I turned to the inside. I do that really often with armholes and neckbands. I just think it works really, really well. So yeah, that's the only change that I made, and I'm really pleased. So thank you so much for this gorgeous pattern, Nina, for bringing it out into the world. There's nothing else on the market, I would argue, quite like this. I think it's very unique and it makes you feel very special. So, and it also goes very well with my trusty denim mini skirt, which I made like 5 years ago, probably even longer than that actually, and I'm still wearing all the time because I love it. So So I'm gonna go and get changed now. I've got 2 dresses to show you. One of them is another Nia Lee pattern actually, it's the Q dress. And I've got 2 pattern and another dress which is a sew over it dress. And I've got a pattern hack which I made, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay guys, I'm back and I'm wearing my second make, which is the Sew Over It Ultimate Wrap Dress, and I am really pleased with how this pattern's come out. I actually don't use many Sew Over It patterns for no reason at all, other than I don't really have many in my stash, but I actually bought this pattern absolutely years ago when a shop in Kingston was closing down. They had a sale on. I picked this pattern up for like £5. But at the time, I really wasn't confident working with jersey fabrics, so I completely put off making it. It was just like, it's not, I was really nervous basically. But now I've been working with jersey fabrics for a few years, I feel like I could tackle this project. And as you guys know, I am fully obsessed with the wrap dress trend. I've been wearing them all last summer and this summer too. They're just my favourite. I find them super flattering. So I'm quite pear-shaped, quite curvy on the bottom half. So I do find a wrap style really like accentuates my waist, which I like my waist, and it sort of flows over the bottom half of me, which I quite like. This fabric I got on Bury St Edmunds Market. I'll do a little bit of a close up for you. And this fabric was actually super reasonably priced. I think I paid £5 for it, which is obviously a really good price for a fabric, and it's a lovely quality. It's got a really good stretch and it rebounds really well. So I would say if you are going to be making this pattern, just definitely choose a jersey that has a really high, or not really high, but you know, it has like a good elastane content, because the dress will just hang open. I've actually had to put a little pop stud here just to protect my modesty, because it does come out super low cut. I also stabilised the neckline with clear elastic. It's finished with a facing, which is extremely unusual for a jersey dress. And I wasn't sure I loved that it was finished like that. I would have rather it was finished with a band, which was stretched on. But actually it's worked out fine, because I put the clear elastic in there to stabilise it. I'm not gonna lie though, it took ages. Like the rest of the dress comes together so quickly. It's a really easy make. But then stabilising that neckline and then doing the facing, it just took forever, because I was really cautious of not stretching anything out, because I've made that mistake before. I think I made a seam work top a couple of years ago, and I stretched it all out and I was just heartbroken. I was like, oh god, I've ruined this. So I'm just very careful to not do that again. And I love that it's got this kind of black and yellow floral print. And it is a proper wrap dress, so it can like flap open at the front, but luckily it crosses over enough that you don't, you know, flash anybody. I'll stand up so you can see what the skirt portion looks like. It's it sort of hits on the knee for me, which is it's not the most flattering length, but I actually quite like it in this because it's quite slinky. It's quite form-fitting across the hips, and then it sort of flares out lower down. It's got a nice curved hem detail here. I'll put it there so you can see a little bit, which isn't actually that easy to do. So if you're new to sewing, I would just square that off and not bother with the curve. But yeah, it's lovely. There's it from the back. So you can see, if I bend a bit, you might see a bit more easily. I decided to do a short sleeve, and here we go, I'll do the back sort of a bit closer to for you as well. That's how it fits. I made the UK size 10 again, and it fits really well. I probably could have sized down on the top half just to make it a bit less low cut. But what I have been doing is just wearing like a little crop top underneath, or a camisole. Again, just to make sure it's not too low if I'm wearing it to work or something. A detail I added this little bit of elastic on the sleeve, just by stretching it as I sewed along, just to give it a bit of an interesting detail. I kind of thought it looked cute. And yeah, I've seen quite a lot of dresses on the high street which have this cute little ruche detail on the sleeve. I just think it's kind of pretty, and just makes them look a bit, a bit current. My hair is massive, so I'll throw that out there. I'm basically going to have my hair cut today, so I'm sorry, it's absolutely huge. I might tie it up actually so you can see the garments a bit more easily, because we don't want to just see hair, you want to see the actual clothes. But I've been growing it for the wedding, and it's getting a little bit out of hand. But there we go, now it's out the way. Anyway, so I would say it's 2 thumbs up for this dress. The only bit that's fiddly is the neckline, but overall I'm super pleased, and I'll put in some inspiration pictures of some of the things which inspired me to make this one. But yeah, I'm going to be getting changed now. I've got 2 more things to show you, so be right back. Hi, okay, so from one floral dress to another, because I'm not gonna lie, I just love making floral summer dresses and I love wearing them, and I always feel like myself and I feel pretty and like put together when I'm wearing them. So sorry it's another floral dress, but it's just what I love to wear. And this is another Nina Lee London pattern. This is her Kew dress, and actually I live super close to Kew, so it's kind of cool, you know, wearing something which is a place which I go to fairly often. And yeah, it's a really beautiful pattern. I have made this before, I'll insert a picture here. And I made it in gingham, but I did this strappy version. So when you buy the Kew dress sewing pattern, it's fantastic. 2 for 1, you get a strappy version and you get the short sleeve version. And in the strappy version, I made the size 10, and it actually fits really comfortably. It's got quite a bit of ease around the waist, which is what I look for in a summer dress pattern. I like at least an inch ease on the waist, just so it's a bit more comfortable, maybe 2 inches when it's really hot. But then I made this one in the size 10, and it actually came out a little bit too big, which I was really gutted about, because if you know the Kew dress, here you go, you can see it's got like hundreds of buttonholes. Exaggeration, it's got like 15 buttonholes. And they take quite a while to do, and I put all these buttonholes on it, and I put all the buttons on as well, and I was like, oh crap, this is way too big. And I think the reason it's come out a little bit bigger than the strappy one is that I have quite small shoulders, and my high bust measurement is quite small as well. So if I were to make this again, which I actually do think I will size down on the top half and keep the bottom half as a size 10, because that actually fits fine. But on the top half, I will definitely go for a size 8. But the way I fixed it, which is a bit of a bodge job, but I'm going to say it's a design feature, it's fine, is I just overlapped it more so, and you can see it's slightly asymmetrical. So the darts are here and here, so you can see that it's put it sort of slightly to the side. If I move back a bit, you'll be able to see how it flows at the bottom. I'm really pleased. I just think this is such a gorgeous pattern. That's the back of it, like this. Has a lovely flowy skirt. I actually changed it so that the skirt is all the same length. Nina's original pattern has a scooped hem, so it's shorter at the front than the back. I just completely straightened that off, and I made it midi length because I'm loving midi length, but I left it with a kind of split up the front. You can see like this. Oh, got pink knees, I've been kneeling on them. Yeah, so I really like that it had that split there, because it stops it being too grown up and makes it a bit more fun. And I use these really pretty buttons, which I got on eBay. As always, I'll leave a link to the shop where I got those buttons. It's like a really bargain place to buy your buttons, highly recommend. But this is the back, and it's also got this really pretty ruched sleeve detail. Again, I just used elastic, stretched it out as I sewed, and then bing, it has this cute little detail here, which I'm really loving. And I'll do a close with the buttons for you as well here. So you can see I don't think it really matters, if I'm honest, that they're asymmetrical. I've seen loads of dresses on the high street this summer where the buttons are asymmetric, and I just think it looks really cool. So I'm going to just go with it. I think sometimes things don't go the way you planned, but that's just life, isn't it? The fabric which I used is actually a remnant. So I got this again on eBay. You guys know I love my eBay bargains. And it's a remnant which I ordered from somebody who said they bought it from Sew Over It, but they decided they weren't going to use it, so it was kind of a de-stash situation. I do like to try and get fabrics from those kind of situations, because I think you can get some really interesting pieces that you might not see anywhere else, but also it's nice to kind of, you know, keep the recycling theme going. If somebody else doesn't want it, you know, somebody else can use it, so we're not buying new. Yeah, so I think it's a really interesting print. I don't know if you guys like it or not, but it's it's got like daisies on it and poppies, but it's also really graphic, and I think it's quite modern actually. I'm very fond. So yeah, that's my Nina Lee Kew dress. I've got one more thing to show you. It's getting pretty hot in here. It's really warm here in London, so I'm sorry if I look a bit disheveled. I don't know, it's really warm. So I'm going to put on my last thing, which is a jumpsuit. I'm super pleased with it, so back in 1 minute. Okay guys, I'm back and it's pattern hack time. So this is my jumpsuit. I have been wanting a short sleeve jumpsuit for ages, and I wanted it to have like a shirt type top and then probably like a culotte type bottom, and I've been looking and looking for patterns which fit that description. And actually, although there's loads of jumpsuit patterns available with like an elasticated waist and quite a few dungaree patterns popping up, there just wasn't anything that kind of fit into that bill of like shirt on the top and then proper trousers on the bottom. So I decided to hack it up. So this is the Sew Over It vintage shirt dress blouse. Blouse? It's not a blouse. Top. And let me just say, I love this pattern. I'm going to be using the Sew Over It vintage shirt dress. Again, I want to make a proper dress version. I just think it's gorgeous. I use these really big chunky buttons, which I just had in my stash, and these are the type of buttons I'm obsessed with at the moment. I just think they look so cool. And yeah, so I did the Sew Over It shirt dress for the top, and that's what it looks like from the back. I think it's quite sweet. It's got the little puff sleeve, very pretty. And then I used for the bottom of my jumpsuit a New Look pattern, which is New Look 6446. I love that pattern. And you can see it's just a really cute culotte length. Take my hands out the pocket. Sorry, it's got a built-in yoke pocket, which is really pretty. And I had to extend the fly going all the way down, and that was a bit of a disaster. That was not planned. So let me tell you about what happened. So I made it just opening with the buttons to the waist, and my intention was to just have like a side zip or something, but I just couldn't get it on and off. Like, it just wasn't happening. Well, that's a lie. I could get it on and off, but it just was really super uncomfortable. And I know myself, if clothes are not comfortable, they just don't get worn. I'm a real comfort person. So I had to make a makeshift fly, which meant that I had to take out the darts in the front of the trousers, so I had more room down there, so I could like stretch the fabric and make a very budget fly, which is not perfect. It is far from perfect, but I'm telling myself, you know what, again, I'm experimenting, I'm trying stuff out, and it's not always going to work out perfectly, but the overall look of this jumpsuit I absolutely love. I've worn it in Me Made May, which was last month, which I loved. It was so much fun, but I just love Me Made May. I don't know if you guys took part or if you were just watching, or I mean, it's just, I just love seeing what everyone wears like on a daily basis. I love seeing people showing clothes that they've made years and years ago and just styling them in different ways, because that's very much how my handmade wardrobe is at the moment. Like, I still make new things, but I'm not like making a new thing every week, you know. So it's really nice to see how people take the clothes they already have and they mix it up and they do it in different ways. I just love it. I think it's really interesting. But anyway, side note. So in Me Made May, I wore this 3 times, which I think is pretty good. So yeah, it's definitely going to get quite a bit of wear, I think. The only thing is it wrinkles a little bit, but nothing major. The fabric is a linen and elastane blend, which is quite an interesting mixture, I think. And so it has a really nice linen-y look to it, but I think you need, if you are going to attempt this hack, I mean, firstly, think about your button fly at the front if you are thinking of doing it, because that is important that works. But if you are going to attempt it, or any jumpsuit really, I would really recommend using a fabric with a slight stretch, just because jumpsuits can be so uncomfortable if they're made in a woven fabric with no stretch whatsoever, unless they are very loose fitting. A little bit of give just so you can get it on and off and feel really comfortable all day. But yeah, anyway, those are my 4 things that I made in April and May. I really hope you like them. I will be making a video about Me Made May. I might film it directly after this, actually. I want to just share with you the things which I wore the most, a bit of a reflection, yeah, and have a little chat about how it was for you guys. That's everything for today. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and do click subscribe if you'd like to see some more sewing vlogs from me. That would be really lovely. Yeah, and that's everything. Have a wonderful week, guys. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.